Go on.
Well, who are we? I am Joseph Hill. I'm the manager of the group. But to us, we're not really managers. We're both the duo who've been doing the entirety of it. But
Nathaniel. I'm just a team member, but as Joseph said, we work together on everything.
I'm the more creative side, so I did the arty stuff, whilst Nathaniel did the more coding and rereading of the briefs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do you want to do this one, or should I?
Yep, why not? Why help? We chose why help over the other projects due to we could have a larger quantity of people actually accessing our product. Because there's a large amount of people that play games on their phones, anyone does it, so we have access to hundreds or millions of people all over the world that can have access to our product.
The gaming communities aren't very well known for having good mental health. We found some stats on this. Over 26% of video gamers had depression. Slightly more than 11% of non-gamers had no depression. Had depression even. So, if we target this, we've got the largest audience and target, I guess.
Yeah. We also picked it because gaming is technically inclusive. They don't market to male or female. They market to a genre. They market to a style. So if you like a style, you're fine with it. They don't mind if you're a guy, a girl, black, white, anything. They don't. It's more towards what you do like, not as the person yourself. So with the games, we went for a very wider approach for people.
Yeah. There is no specific profile, like Joe just said. There's no specific profile for it. They're advertised as a genre. They're not really targeted at a male. Like Call of Duty isn't really a female's game, but it can be. It's not really marketed that way. It's marketed in the genre.
Yep. Excellent. Yep.
So,
what do we want the game to look like? Well, we went for the more classical gaming approach of the Final Fantasies and the Legend of Zeldas, because it's an older game. Everyone's most likely seen something to do with them, or their parents have. The reason we picked it is most people like the simplistic style, and the older generation will know it as nostalgia. They would want to get it and talk about it. So it's an easy talking point, and it's also an easier graphic style, as well as the older games preferred story over how fancy graphics they looked, and they preferred the game over the marketing budget. They didn't really care about the profit. They cared more about if people enjoyed their product.
So, what are we doing here?
Design ideas. Yep. Yep. I'll just do this one. Well, the design ideas. We chose a tile-based system because it is basically how you code a game, mostly. It's the most common form for this style of pixel-arted games. Where tile sets are just a large image with smaller images that you mash together to create a level or create some sort of animation or anything. And they're usually based around a theme or a style. These are just a few examples that we found on the internet of some tile sets, as well as the example of how tile sets actually work inside the video game.
And how they look, like where they're all arranged next to each other.
Yep. What's the next one?
So, design choices, we've chosen C++ for its coding. It works on everything, supposedly. I can't get it worked out outside of Linux. But, so obviously it runs on everything, supposedly. It runs faster than Python. So we tried Python, it had a bit of a sulk, so we used C++. And it's multi-threaded, so we can do music as well as graphics. We can run the graphics in the background and play music as well. And then
that's where it ties
all the tile base we've already done.
Yeah, it ties into the tile base where the code just chooses where to put it. Well, you decide it, it puts it there. I'll do it. Because I was the artier one, I was the one doing all the art for the game, the stylistic choices, and obviously use multiple types. At home, I don't own Photoshop. I don't use it, so I had to go for a free program that I have used for a while, and it's my sort of art project, which is the Medibank. It's free to use. Anyone can use it. It's got simple display. It's easy to pick up by anyone. If you just download it, you can get it. But we use Photoshop in campus due to we had it on the system. It's a lot better, obviously, because it's a paid product. But it didn't like pixel art. it really didn't like it, because we tried to do it, but it had a scream at us, and that's why some of the images don't look actually like pixel art. They're all blurred around the edges.
So obviously we chose a story, all the older generations, because it has a story. So we thought, may as well add a story to it. So we've got, there's a random person, it's just normal walks of life in a town, and there's some sort of...
Great darkness.
Great darkness. And this person can be the only one that can help. So we did it this way, so it's just a general person, so it doesn't relate to anyone. It's like a superhero or anyone.
Yeah. The character is based in a fantasy medieval universe.
Mm-hmm.
We went for a character that, in technical medieval history, would be a normal person, a blacksmith's son. He isn't someone who's a noble or a hero or a knight. He's just an average son of a blacksmith. So we wanted it to be more, well, normal in the level space of the society back then.
And then, obviously, it makes up most of the gameplay. It's not really anything fancy, it's just mostly based on the story, and then the framework around that.
Yep. These were game assets I made. Other than the YHelp problem, which is the logo in the bottom right, it didn't like coming out of Photoshop, so bit of a problem, but these are just example of a few assets. There is a ginormous sheet of assets that we don't have on show, but we didn't manage to cram them all in there. We picked the more eye-catching ones and just left it at that.
Yeah, and obviously you can see that bit of free software that Joe was talking about earlier. It looks like Photoshop. Does the same thing. Obviously, we use Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This is not on my notes, so I'm further winging it from here. Right, we use Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the wider audience. We thought you might see something slightly sketchy on Facebook that you can point in our direction or point towards the game. And then we've used Twitter to...
There's a devlog.
We were going to use 2 Twitter accounts, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're going to use 2 Twitter accounts. One for advertisement of the game, as in general, and the other one as a dev diary. So whilst we were creating the game, we could update the fans and the users about the progress. And you can gain hype around it and gain more people to basically enjoy the product and hopefully come out of it with a better outcome.
And obviously Instagram to show the insides of the company as well as market it as well, so we can show what the company looks like inside, how everything is, and then we can also advertise in there as well. So, further development. Our game has a bit of sulk at the minute, so we need to tweak it here and there. So we're going to add some more players and customizability, because at the minute it's just one character, and then we're going to add some droppable items, so like some weapons, stuff like that. I don't think we mentioned it, but if you beat a boss, you can unlock a...
it was a guide.
It was like a guide for the Samaritans.
Yeah, and
it unlocks it in the menu, so you can just go in there and have a read of it if you need some help.
We'll go back to that. To do with the stories, we forgot about this bit. This is the bit that kind of sold it to Julia when we were advertising it. Was all the levels and bosses are all themed around a certain mental disorder. We went from bosses being based off of bosses with I can't speak. Depression, anxiety, eating disorders, both sides of the spectrum, obesity and anorexia. Because most people just think of one or the other. They're both in the same category of an eating disorder. We also went off... what was it? I can't remember. What else did we do?
It was the anxiety one. We did a obsessive compulsive disorder, and I think we did a personality disorder one.
Yeah.
So that was like constantly changing. The anxiety one would be like, quite fast paced, and didn't want to be in public. I still haven't filled that slide in, have I?
No. This was up at 3 o'clock in the morning doing this stuff.
Obviously, we're going to add multiplayer at some point. I think of the last one, we were going to add it so we could share it to multiple people. So again, building more hype. So if you want to stick it on Facebook, say, oh look, I got this score, you could do that, and then it'll point more towards us as well.
Something else that we didn't stick on there was, obviously, we wanted to add the multiplayer to it. In the brief, they wanted a multiplayer game, but you obviously can't make a multiplayer game within a month that has a working system and everyone can play it without problems. So the multiplayer system we wanted to add is to build around communities. It's more to do with you work with other players and you try to make friends with them. Like, personally, I'm not a social person. Standing up here now, I would happily be sick all over the floor because I don't feel great. But where I've made most of my friends throughout my life is playing video games. I've had one of my longest friends from the United States. We've been friends since we were younger. We've been friends for 7 years, and we still haven't even stopped talking to each other. We're constantly being their friends, and he's coming over for a holiday here. That's fun. But gaming communities usually last with the friends you get. You either make a friend that will last almost forever, or you'll meet someone, have a nice encounter, and you'll go on your way, and you usually feel better about yourself. And we want it to be that you help other players. So you make them feel better, because they obviously beat the boss or beat the level, as well as you feeling better for helping someone if they were struggling through it.
Yeah, so the knock-on effect.
Yeah.
Is if we improve the mental state, we could improve the physical state as well.
Yeah.
So.
Reflections. Obviously, we'd have to have a lot more time and a bigger team to develop a game. We got a skeleton of a game, but it works. That's the good part. It doesn't have a multiplayer system, but it works.
Yeah.
Obviously, we would have asked to get other people to help us, but we thought...
We were stubborn.
Yeah, we were stubborn. We were too stubborn for it. So we just accepted, it's two of us, we'll do it, get over it, done with, and prove Julia wrong, mostly, because she said you can't make a game in a month.
And we did.
And we did make a game in a month, with two of us. So, obviously, we're stubborn, we wanted to get it done.
Yep.
Talking, as I said, I don't like it. And I've been told I'm actually good at presenting when I feel like I'm not. But, yeah, so what about you, Nick?
Probably the main thing I've learned from this is perseverance. So we've been handling time management. So we've been handling our course, a second course, a skills competition, and this all at the same time. And we've got to fit this in and work on it at the same time. It's really hard to do. But I've had a few family problems along the line of this. I've lost 2 family members in the past 3 months. It's a bit hard to work on this. So doing this, we haven't really had that much time to present.
Yeah.
So we've done as best as we possibly can. So that's why it's a bit rough around the edges and a bit missing. So, yeah.